So this year I am doing a project on the study of music and why can be important and the benefits of it. So why the study of music is important? So to me, the study of music is important to me because I have grown up with music my whole life and wondered what it has done to me. So like what its influence with me and how I learn and how I introduce stuff and how I think. Okay, so here is some scientific studies that have shown that how the study of music is beneficial. So it helps with language development, which basically is like how when you're like younger and when you learn how to like speak, it helps with that. It has shown studies of increased IQ. This is interesting. I thought that when I looked up stuff for increased IQ, the music, it had like a better IQ than like drama students, which you would think they're kind of like similar, but like it has a different IQ. The brain works harder in different brains, and then this battle temporal skills. That is basically like motor stuff, and they improve test scores. Okay, now this is the benefits of playing an instrument, which is different from singing because an instrument you have to like think more with like your hands and your like voice and all that. So it's like you can increase your memory skills, which would make sense because fingering, you have to remember where the fingers are. Teaches persistence and creates a sense of achievement. So basically, when you're like playing an instrument, it's easier for you like to you do more practice of it, and so you feel more accomplished when you do like you practice a lot with it, and you have to like improve like both like more of your like you have to use more of your brain, so it makes more of an achievement. It improves coordination. And improves math skills, which is really cool because basically when you think about it, you got like numbers and beats, so that you have to count a lot more, and it also helps like because like with sight reading, you have to know how much, and you have to know like with the rhythm of stuff, you have to know how to do all that. It improves reading and comprehension skills. I think it's because you read music, and reading music you have to like understand like what in the margins, how they have like crescendos and all that, you have to know how to do all that. Great responsibility, because you have to practice. Exposes a student to culture and history because like you guys did your projects on like the Renaissance and all that, you're learning a lot of culture and history to stuff. And with an instrument, you have to learn like how it works. So you got to learn the history of how it works, or you can't like play it efficiently. Nurtures self-expressions. Basically, that's it. Okay, it improves listening skills because you got to listen to the whole band, or you're gonna sound, or you got to listen to like tuning and everything, and it improves social skills. Okay, so this was with social bonds. It increases contact, coordination, and cooperation with others. When you're singing and you're doing music, you have to you're combined into like even if you're like singing by yourself, you have music behind you. So you have to be able to cooperate with each other, and it has formed like a bond. Music gives an oxygen boost. That's like a gland of some sort. Music straightens our theory of mind and empathy, which basically are like what we think of and how we like express ourselves. And music increases cultural cohesion. Okay, so this was cool stuff, I thought, because you guys may not like it, but it's all with a break. So, and it was between musicians and non-musicians, and this was like a case study that was done over the years. So, so when you're so the auditory difference. So basically, when you're like hearing. So the non-musicians process melodies better in the right hemisphere, while musicians on the left hemisphere, which is really weird, because the right one is more like where you like hear things, and the left one is where you like comprehend. Like it's like how you like movement stuff. It's very like weird how we comprehend it on the left, which it's like a lot of scientific stuff that I don't want to get into for you. But I thought it was cool. When musicians are played something as simple as a single note, the response of the auditory cortex is about twice as large as a non-musician. So non-musicians, like, they don't comprehend it as much. Okay, so the motor differences is, okay, so many different areas of the brains are busy when non-musicians do these tasks, but not all the brain regions have to get involved when musicians do them. So basically when you're like tapping your finger, we don't like, for musicians, you don't like comprehend that you're tapping to the beat. Whereas non-musicians, they have to like think about tapping to the beat. So we're like naturally like have learned how to do it. And so then, okay, the musician's motor and auditory cortex are interconnected, which is usually not the case. And for most people, when they hear it doesn't cause them to like automatically associate with movement. And moving certain things doesn't cause them to record a piece of they know and play well. So basically, the brain, like both of them light up, which is very it's connected, which is not normal in most people's brains. Usually they have like separate, so when they hear something, they hear it on one side, not the other. That makes sense. That's more like in psychology and stuff. Pitch perception and melody. So in your brain, the musician's brain has a much larger response to the incorrect pitches than non-musicians. Even when the note was like done diatonic. So like usually some people can hear if the note was wrong. But like with like musicians, you would know, like automatically you're like, oh, that sounds bad. But with non-musicians, they can tell it sometimes, but most people can't tell it. So even like when they played it back to back, so they would play like melodies or whatever, non-musicians wouldn't like notice the difference, which is basically like a pattern. They wouldn't notice the pattern was any different, even when it was like very noticeable. So like if it was like, I don't even know, like do, mi, sol, we would know that was do, mi, sol, but like, what if they play do, mi, fa? We would notice it, but non-musicians could just like not notice it. Or like do, mi, si, that would make more sense. And they wouldn't like hear it as well as we would like hear it in our brains. So like they wouldn't like understand it. Okay, the most interesting part of the study that was done is that the accurate and inaccurate responses were, okay, so that most accurate, like knowing like when it was different and not, was most of them were jazz and pop musicians and not classical musicians, which I thought was kind of interesting because you would think classical like that, like more with piano and all that would notice it more, but it actually was jazz and pop musicians. Okay, so the structural, so if you looked at the brain, it's different for musicians and non-musicians, and I couldn't find like a brain to show you. I looked everywhere and they wouldn't like show me two different brains, like even an outline. But the size of the auditory cortex is correlated with the age that the musician begins the instrument. So if you like start your instrument very young, you have a bigger auditory cortex, which I think is like here-ish in your head, and it's bigger. And in musicians, the interior or front part of the corpus callosum is bigger than in non-musicians. And this is the part, so basically when I was saying how they connect, this is like in the middle of your left and right hemisphere, and it's bigger than most and they connect, which is very weird. But it's bigger in men and not female because men have like larger brains anyway, and females have like more symmetry brains than male, which I don't know reason behind that, but that's just true. Female have more of a symmetry and male have oddly shaped brains. Okay, so I'm pretty sure like in your 7th grade you have like somebody who has perfect pitch, right? Yes. Okay, that's what I thought, and so then I found this like stuff on perfect pitch. So in infants, you actually have, when you're like born, you have perfect pitch. But like everybody is born with perfect pitch, but most people lose it. So, which I thought was super cool because you would always think, and if you're going to develop it, you have to develop it from ages 9 to 12. After you're 12 years old, you can't develop it. So you can't like learn how to do it. There are, so yeah, okay, and so then it's in the brain, it shows where perfect pitch is, but they don't understand it as much. Perfect pitch is very, it's very a confusing study because they don't know how someone they don't understand it, but it is genetic in a lot of cases. So usually if you somebody genetically has it in your family, you can have it. And relative pitch is usually for people who have had like, you can like grow to have relative pitch, but you can't have relative pitch after 9 to 12. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? If you don't, that's fine.